Hello everyone and welcome to our Max Sport My Motivation campaign. Today's guest is Emmy Award-winning radio and television personality Baz Ashmawy. Baz, how are you?
How are you doing?
Great, absolutely fantastic. I think we're starting to come out the other side now of COVID-19. It's been a crazy few months. How was life for you during lockdown?
It's weird because for us, I'm like one of those little woodland creatures that just peeps its head out. I don't really know how normal everyone. I see it that some people are very normalized with everything. We're still fairly locked in. I had a lung condition years ago, and I had a daughter, and she's kind of vulnerable. So we took it quite seriously. So we've been just locked down for 3 months, and it's been a real roller coaster. But I can see walking about and getting out a little bit more. We queued for an hour in McDonald's for the drive-through with the kids the other day, and that was about the highlight of the last 3 months, you know.
But it's a good one though. It's a good McDonald's.
It was. They were very excited about it. So yeah.
So, I know you have a lot of kids. So, a lot of kids in lockdown, that must be quite challenging.
It is. Because if you think how challenging it is for you, you know, and even if you're in a relationship, I think when you're in a lot of stress, the natural thing is to start turning on each other. You know, it's like, who's got it worse? You know, it's all I. And then after a little while, you kind of have to think, how's it affecting not me, but how's it affecting kind of us, you know? And it's the same for the kids. It's very easy just think, they're kids, you know, they'll be grand, but they've got their own lives. If you got a 16-year-old, the last thing a 16-year-old wants to be is locked up with me and Tanya. So and then we've little ones, and again, they're constantly distracted and constantly happy. But there's these moments where it kind of kicks in that they haven't seen their friends in a long time, and they're not playing, and they get sad and upset, and that's upsetting. And it affects everybody, you know, it really does.
And how's the homeschooling going?
Do you know what it is? It's this constant feeling of failing in every aspect of your life. You know, you feel like you're failing at homeschooling. You feel like you're failing with your training. You're kind of failing with your work. You know, it's really hard because, you know, and I'm not blaming teachers. They have a workload that they're trying to do, and they're trying to keep everyone happy. But it's really tough. It's really it's a full-time job. I feel like I'm a child butler is basically what I am. I make them cheese toasties, or, you know, they ring a bell and I come and I watch a movie with them, or I do their homework with them, or I read to them at night. Like, it's constant. But my little one, who's only like 7, she turned around to Tanya the other day and just said, "Isn't this so great, all the time we get with Dad, and, you know, all the fun we're having?" And I felt so bad, because that's what it is. You're forced into this kind of self-reflection of, you know, having to look at your life. You know, like, you could go off to Tibet and go to find yourself, and it'd be the same thing. No pub, no mates, no nothing, just you in your head, just on your own, you know, like you say, you were commenting earlier on about trainers or something behind, when that shit mattered. Like, none of that stuff matters now, you know. It's just real back to basic root stuff is what makes you happy. Are you being the best you? And sometimes when you ask yourself those questions, sometimes you don't want to hear the answers, you know. That's the thing. It's a very mental thing, you know.
Can you come out the other side of it and be different though? So you do a bit of self-reflection, and you're experiencing all this time with your family, and you're reconnecting with yourself, and a lot of people are reconnecting with their roots and with nature. But when life does start to get back to what was normal before, do you think that things are going to change? Are people going to change, and practices and habits?
I think you have to. I think you have to embrace some form of change. But it's like what I said, it's like some people don't want to reflect on the way they live their lives. They're happy to, but if you take away all the distractions, the sport, the pub, and the constant interaction with people at work, and you just bring it down to a real base level of who am I and am I happy? And most of us, there's no one perfect out there. So there's a lot of us are forced to look at ourselves and go, well, you know, maybe I haven't been around as much as I can be as a dad, you know. you know, maybe I'm not happy in this aspect of my life. You know, maybe I need to do more at home. Maybe I need to be more present. And you're forced to look at all these things. So a change is good. What got to me is there was a lot of people going, because I'm a creative, and a lot of people were going like, oh, well, you know, Shakespeare wrote King Lear during lockdown, didn't he? And I'm like really, like, that's how I felt. I was just like, you know, you're forced to feel like you should be doing something amazing, when really, in my head, if I don't clear out that shed, right, this is my main thing. I have a shed out the back there. And I've been saying for the last 3 years I was going to sort it out. If this lockdown ends and that shed hasn't been cleared, I just don't think I could look at myself in the mirror. There's these little things where I'm just like, you just have to just look at yourself and not compare yourself to these other people who are projecting this wonderful lockdown experience. Because for some people, it's not a wonderful lockdown experience. You know, you hear people saying things like, I'm stressed, but that's like going to the doctor and saying, I have pain. Like, you have to, like, where's the pain? Like, why are you stressed? And you have to think about these things. You know, you have to analyze what part of what part of all this is making you stressed and why. And look into yourself a little. It can be a bit deep, you know, maybe.
I think if you, it depends who you let in as well. So like personally, I've been following Jurgen Klopp, the Liverpool manager, quite a lot. And all he's achieved is he has learned to use the dishwasher. He can now make scrambled eggs, and he can tie a tie, and that's all he's achieved. And he's pretty happy with that.
Yeah, it's honestly, like, I never cooked. And that's been my one, is I thought, look, I'm just going to teach myself to cook. You know, Tanya's a kind of chef, so she doesn't need any help. And she's always taken over that side of things. And now I've just been doing a lot more cooking all the time, really enjoying it, and cooking for the kids and yeah, even training at home, like even stuff that I was never a fan of, you know. Like for the first month of lockdown, I just sat on the couch eating biscuits every night. Honestly, I just ballooned into, like, just sitting there. I couldn't believe it. I was like, they're banned from the house now, you know, because it was this thing, this just, what's going on? And I'm a real comfort eater type of guy, and I wasn't training, I wasn't doing any of that. I would have sold one of my kids for a set of 15-kilo dumbbells. I really could. Just, you couldn't get your hands on anything. And all of a sudden, something clicked in my head, because I've always related your mind and your body are so connected. So that, like, if you're feeling better about your body, you're keeping that active, then the mind will follow, and it's all endorphins and how you feel. You know, it's not for competition or anything. It's just for my own well-being. You know,
A lot of the people that we've had on this series are professional athletes, so that's their job and they have to do it. And
sure,
they're hearing about their competitors doing training, and they're comparing numbers, and you know, they're on WhatsApp groups with other elite athletes. But
absolutely.
You're more of a regular guy. Like, there's parents who'll be watching this who can relate to you with all the kids and all the jobs that you have to do in life. Where do you get the time, and like, how do you fit it in and stay motivated?
You just have to. You have to be. It's one of my worst traits, and one of my best traits is I'm quite selfish, right? So that hour that I need to train, like, I jump on the bike, do half an hour on the bike, and then throw a few weights around for half an hour. That's my hour. I just, regardless of anything else, I need that time just for me, because I live in a busy house. I mean, if I sit in the toilet, I guarantee you 2 people come in to ask me questions. Like, it's that urgent. You know, I just can't get a minute. So I literally lock the door of my bedroom, and I stay there and I train for an hour, and that's my 1 hour. And you need that, because the thing is, if you're not happy, you can't expect the people around you to be happy. It passes on. You pass that energy on. So that's why, if you want to keep everyone buoyant in the house, you got to keep yourself buoyant, you know, because they're watching you, especially kids. They absorb everything, all those emotions. So you've got to keep yourself kind of well. And that's the amazing thing about fitness, is that you can change who you are in 3 months. In 3 months, you can look like a completely different person. You can feel like a completely different person. And in the journey of that, you can teach yourself that you can set goals and achieve them, because that's all life is setting these little goals and achieving them. And the more you achieve them, the more you feel you're capable of. And fitness is the best example of that, I think, you know.
So do you do that when it comes to your own fitness? Do you set goals and targets and try and
Yeah,
improve?
sure. Absolutely. Now, the problem I have is my consistency. I do 6 months like really disciplined, and then I'm like, look how great I am, and then that's it. Then I'm back to eating biscuits on the couch. So it's a balance, you know. It's I this is where I let myself down.
Yeah, but I think more
It's
people are
just
like you, though. You know, like that's 90% of people. That's their story. They'll be great for a while, and then
I think it's human. I don't drink, you know, so my thing is food. You know, we're a foodie house. We're a big family. We like food. We like to eat. We like to enjoy food, and that's a big part of it. So it's a balance thing. You know, it's learning how to make it part of your life and not make it that you're on a diet all the time. This never works, because that's short term, and then you come back and you put on more weight or whatever. For me, it's just like I say, if you just keep your fitness steady, it's the mind relief you get from that is just unparalleled. You know, it's just a feeling in your head and a sense of happiness, and that's the true thing, you know.
sometimes I think when it comes to exercise and fitness, it can all seem a little bit complicated, or you're seeing plans, and they've got numbers beside them, and you're not sure what you're supposed to be doing. But you made it sound quite simple there. You get on the bike for half an hour and you throw a few weights around. Is it as simple as that?
Yeah. Well, like I'll be honest with you. I had a double lung surgery. God, man, when was it? It was like 2011 or something like that. I had double lung surgery. I had a collapsed lung, and I was floored. And I started training with Anton Ali Lynch, and Anto was who I started training with, and he got me to a certain level of fitness that I never thought I would reach. I remember running my first 5K and crying at the end of it, because I just never thought, like, from going from lying in a hospital bed with tubes coming out of your lungs to running 5K flat, I was just like, emotionally, I was a wreck, you know. So what I find is I train with him online in a Zoom for 30 minutes. Now, usually I'd go to a gym for an hour and I'd throw weights around, but that 30 minutes is so condensed. Plus I get the motivation of I've diarized to meet this person to do this training. And as a start off lift for the first 4 to 6 weeks, it's just been amazing for me. You know, it's just been a real turnaround. And then once you're in the rhythm, you probably don't need that as much. But I just love training with someone. And that was my main fear, is that I can't train with anyone. I can't train with a friend, or Anto's a friend as well. Like, but now all of a sudden I've got someone to keep me tight for those 30 minutes. And a lot of people are training like that, and it's brilliant, you know.
So when you do have those moments in your life, or periods in your life when you find yourself sitting on the couch having the biscuits and not doing the training, how do you change your mindset and kind of flip out of that again?
I constantly self-evaluate where I am. There's all these different aspects of your life, and it's like eggs in a little basket. You know, if they're all not right, it just tips over. It doesn't have balance. Do you get me? So like your relationship has to be a certain way, your work, how you're getting on at work, your fitness, your mental health, your kids, you know, all these things have to work together. And you've got to tip away at them all, you know. So I just look at myself, and I might notice, maybe I snapped at one of the kids one day, and I kind of sit and I go, why did I do that? And why did I react like that? Or why was I short? You know, why did I come home? I was a bit short with one of the kids. Or why am I working so much? This is the big question. I work a lot. Like, I'm a workaholic. You know, I love my work, and I have this constant thing of, I think it's from having money and losing money and then getting money again. And, you know, it's that industry I work in where you're never, I'm always just looking for the next job, and I enjoy it as well, you know. But at the same time, the lockdown has kind of shown me that, you know, that time with your family. Like, I've watched some kids go up from little kids into teenagers, into now they've moved out, you know, and I still have little ones at home. You know, it's kind of like watching a movie, and someone spoils the ending. You know what I mean? So even though I'm looking at this little 7-year-old, I'm going, you're going to turn into a when you're 16. I know that. I've seen this before. You know, I know what happens. Even though now you're perfect, but I know this is coming down the line at some stage. But it's just enjoying that moment, and that's why the work-life balance, I think, is a really important thing for everyone to get right, to try and get right. You know, but it's the responsibility of being a dad or a parent as well. You know, you've got to pay bills, and
Yeah.
you got to, you know, you got to do all that.
Everything when you're a dad.
Yeah,
Mom,
yeah,
everything.
yeah,
Do
Yeah,
you,
you know.
when you think of the industry that you're in, Baz, and the kind of different jobs that you've done, and travel plays a big part of it as well, do you worry about the future now, and what your career life looks like, or is it an opportunity?
I always think it's opportunities. I always think it's what's the next thing. Like what I'm very lucky because there's a broad spectrum of this kind of entertainment industry that I'm in, and now with social media and everything else, you can do a lot of different things. I try and do things that I would like to watch or listen to. That's my main thing. So if something starts to bore me, I won't do it anymore. I'll just be like, I'm done. But the world is constantly changing and you just change with it. It's what's the zeitgeist. That's the question. What's the zeitgeist at the moment? A couple of years back, I thought it was I was reflecting on relationships we have and growing old and the relationship with my mum, and that was a big factor of doing 50 ways and getting that quality time as an adult man with your elderly mother. And that age is just that was the thing. There was a lot of mammy shows back then as well. You had Mrs. Brown's Boys and all that was kicking up. So now it's just as I've gotten older, I like self-development things. So I started doing Wingman last year. I'm going to start doing that again. And that's again is that I found that sometimes in life you just need one person to believe in you, and it's usually not who you think. You think it's going to be your boyfriend or your husband. You think that's the person who's. Most of the time it's not, because it's like if you smoked your whole life and they've watched you give up and start again and give up, and after a while they've even lost faith in the fact that you might be able to do it. Do you know what I mean? So you just need someone externally to come in and give you a bit of support, and that's how Wingman came about. And I really, really enjoyed making that because I became very close to the people involved, and I watched them do the most amazing things and achieve things they didn't think were possible and make these big life changes. So I'm looking forward to doing another one of them. But again, I like with COVID restrictions and everything, it'll be a tricky thing to do.
Well, listening to you and the fact that we have been in lockdown, and who knows if we're going to have another lockdown again at some stage, and the pictures that you paint of your home life, a few cameras around the house could be interesting television.
I don't think anyway. I don't think it'll be broadcast on RTE. Anyway, I think someone offered me to do a show like that, and I went, emotionally, our house is up and down and up and down.
But that's everybody's house. Everybody's
yeah. Do you know what it is? I was talking to a friend of mine about this, and I was trying to say, like, what is it that was so difficult about it? Like, what was the main thing? And I think sometimes it's like we had planned a few things. So say for me, this was my first year I was heading off. I was in the middle of a stage tour and we were going to Edinburgh in August. And I was really excited about going to Edinburgh and doing the Fringe and all that. And that got cancelled. And it's not the fact that that date got cancelled, or maybe you were going on holiday with a new boyfriend, or maybe, you've had a bad relationships for the last couple of years, but you'd met someone and, things are going good, or whatever it is. It's the baggage of the last few years that you've put on this thing, this event. Do you get me? So we say I've wanted to do stand-up and do a show like that for years. So finally I've done it. And it's gone great, and then this happens, and all of a sudden I can't do it anymore. So I think it's the kind of depression that comes with, it was a new year, it was 2020, and all of a sudden you had all these promises to yourself. This is going to be the year I'm going to do this, and this is going to happen, and I'm going to meet someone right, and I'm going to train really hard. I've got my new gym membership, and then all of a sudden this happens.
You're sitting at home on the couch eating biscuits before you know it.
This is it, and you're going, why did that happen? That's so unfair. And it's like anything, it's okay to grieve for a little while, but you can't wallow in. You can't. You've got to, after a while, you've just got to go, okay, look, how do we make this work? And that's the thing that amazes me about the fitness. Like, you can just jump on the ground and start doing press ups. You're like, oh, I've no gym, and you do 15 or 20, and you're like, geez, I'm correct. Like, you can make anything work if you're willing to, but if you just keep giving yourself excuses, then you just need to have a little chat to yourself, I think, just try and motivate yourself.
Well, from following your career over the last few years, if anyone is going to turn this situation into an opportunity and evolve in some way for it, it'll be you, Baz. I really enjoyed that. Thanks so much.
Thank you. It was really nice to chat to you. Well done on the series. Well done
thanks
on this.
A million. We're loving it. If I could just now get involved in the fitness, I'd be flying it. But maybe after this chat, I will.
Absolutely. Go for it. Yeah.
Thanks, Baz.